Salam, dear ladies. Today's lecture is a bit longer, but you have the liberty, of course, to manage um, your lecture time. You can pause, you can stop, you can take notes at your own leisure. Um, but we're hopefully finishing 5 scenes in today's lecture. I'm always optimistic. I always set a higher bar, but hopefully we will be able to do that. Now, some of you asked, I don't know, some of you commented on our previous lecture asking about the morality plays and about their connection to the miracle plays. Now, we need to understand that the miracle plays are the origin of the morality plays. So miracle plays started at churches to teach people the Christian, of course, teachings. And from that, because they expanded, they had stages of their own, the stories developed, we have the morality plays. So they're actually closely connected to each other. We cannot say that the miracle plays are different from morality plays. Miracle plays have very limited kind of characters, but morality plays kind of include, again, we have characters from the Bible, but include real people as well. So you need to understand that miracle plays are the origin, morality plays are the development, or let's say an improvement on miracle plays. Both of them, they teach a lesson, but the difference here is regarding the characters, the characterization, and of course the fiction kind of, or the fictional component, how true the story is, or is it based on true events or real events. Miracle plays, of course, they're based on biblical stories. Morality plays are, let's say, they are the production of the playwright's imagination. So I hope that makes it clear for you. And we're going to start with Dr. Faustus today. We agreed that this is a tragic play, and we agreed that a tragic play has to have a tragic hero, and the tragic hero possesses a tragic flow. And today we're starting with this tragic hero, or we will learn about this tragic hero, Dr. Faustus. Okay, ladies, we learned last time about Christopher Marlowe. We understood that he was a controversial character, he died young, and so on. But what we really need to understand right from the beginning, he was a perfect Renaissance playwright. And what does a Renaissance playwright mean? What does Renaissance mean? Again, to remind you, we said that the Elizabethan era is also the Renaissance era in England. And the Renaissance, or the concept of Renaissance, it's the concept, or it's the idea of reviving the arts. Do you remember that? Now, what arts are we talking about? What arts are we bringing back to life? People of the Renaissance wanted to dig deeper into the Greek theater, the Greek drama. And these are like they needed to find inspiration in these classics, because to them these classics are, let's say, really pivotal, they're really important, they set the rules for what is good drama. And we see this in the play. We see that Christopher Marlowe is a perfect Renaissance playwright, because he actually uses Greek devices in his play. He makes use of a lot of devices that we're going to discuss later in the play and today in the lecture. And as a Renaissance playwright, he also capitalized on the idea of individualism. If you remember the very first lecture I gave you, I showed you pictures of paintings of the Renaissance. Like the Renaissance paintings focused on the human, on the individual. I'm not saying that there is a religious revolution against the church, but it was the beginning of questioning the church. It was the beginning of, again, people started to read the Bible. People started to question the authority of the church. And bearing in mind the very controversial, the very actually fishy life or foggy life of Milo, we will see, or we will figure that he is again questioning religion and so. And that, what does that mean? It means that Milo is displaying one important characteristic of the Renaissance, which is individualism. Um, as a Renaissance again playwright, he uses Greek device, and one of the most important Greek devices in the drama is the chorus. If we were to get back to the Merchant of Venice, of course, we didn't have a chorus. We didn't have a group of people who would sing the events of the play. So, what is the purpose, or what is the goal of the chorus in the play? What role do they play? The chorus, of course, they provide us with an introduction, as here in the prologue, an introduction to the new characters. So we would have, as audience, we would have an insight into the characters. They would ease us into the events of the play. They would share with us the setting of the play, the history of the characters, everything that other, like in The Merchant of Venice, we had to, let's say, we had to figure this on our own. We had to figure what kind of character Antonio was. And from the events of the play, we understand that he's a merchant. But here the chorus kind of do the job for us. So first thing, they introduce us to the character. Second thing, they comment on the events of the play. They also remind us of the events of the play. And most importantly, because this is a morality, ladies, this is a morality play, they remind us of the lessons we should learn from this scene or that scene. So basically, this is the purpose of the chorus, and the chorus provides us with commentary, objective commentary on the play. I need to remind you, ladies, that I take screenshots from the book I uploaded. Please use this copy, and I include in the screenshots the number of the line, so it would be easier for you to follow. Like, for example, here we have 5. So I'm saying, this is what I'm saying, like here you can follow up with the lines. You have number 5, 10, 15, so it's easier for you to please use the book that I uploaded. Now let's start with the chorus. Not marching now in the fields of Trezemen, where Mars did mate the Carthaginians, nor sporting in the dalliance of love in courts of kings where state is overturned. The chorus, right from the beginning, is not telling us what this play is about. It's telling us it's what this play is not about. So usually, what kind of plays were written at that time, or before that time? There were plays about wars, like the wars between the Greeks, the very, very important wars, or stories of love. Like The Merchant of Venice is also a story of love. But here, from the beginning, Marlowe is telling us, or is telling the audience, or the chorus is telling the audience, this is not a love story, this is not a story of heroism either. It's a story of the story of proud, audacious deeds. Intends our muse to vaunt his heavenly verse. So this story is the story of a gentleman. We must perform the form of Faustus' fortunes, good or bad. So this is a very, very important characteristic of the characteristic of the Renaissance, which is focusing on the human. Okay, they're not celebrating kings, they're not celebrating love, they're not celebrating wars. These are the common themes or the common topics of traditional plays. This is the story of Faustus, the proud doctor. To patient judgments we appeal or applaud and speak for Faustus in his infancy. So we're talking about his history, his childhood. Now is he born, his parents' base of stock, and that reminds us of Marlowe himself. So Faustus again was poor, or he had very humble beginnings. And where is he from? Again, the chorus provides us with the setting. In Germany, within a town called Rhodes, of riper years to Wittenberg he went. So in his early years he went to Wittenberg, whereas his kinsmen chiefly brought him up. So soon he profits in divinity. So he starts studying divinity. Again, who also studied divinity, ladies? Marlowe himself, because he was again a Cambridge scholar, and we said that in Cambridge they studied divinity and religion. What is divinity? Divinity is studying God, basically. The fruitful plot of scholarism graced that shortly he was graced with doctor's name. So he is a doctor. He is a great doctor, excelling all whose never sweet delights disputes. I have a problem with the scribbles, but you understand what I'm highlighting. Anyway, he also studied theology. What is theology? It's theology is the study of religions. Till swollen with cunning of a self-conceit, he is an egocentric person. He is now full of himself. He is really cunning, and he's too proud of himself. Now, this is a very important here from line 21, starting at line 21. This is a very important line. His waxen wings did mount above his reach, and melting heavens conspired his overthrow. So, what waxen wings are we talking about? We're talking about the myth of Icarus. Now, this is the second indicator that Marlowe is a great Renaissance playwright. He also makes use of what, ladies? He makes use of Greek mythology. And here we have the story of Icarus. Who is Icarus? Let me tell you the story of Icarus. Icarus was, he and his father were confined, they were confined on an island. They were imprisoned on an island. So his father wanted to help him. His father wanted to free him. So he made him wings. But the thing is, these wings were made of wax. What is the purpose, or sorry, what do wax wings do when they are close to fire? Of course, they melt. Anyway, his father attaches these wings to his back, to Icarus' back, and Icarus is ready to fly away to gain his freedom. And his father tells him that yes, he can fly now, but you have one, we have one rule to stay safe. You need to never get closer to the sun. So why he shouldn't, of course, fly next to the sun? Because the sun would melt his wings. Icarus was too proud of the concept of flying. He was really, really happy that he was flying, and he would start soaring in the sky. He didn't stop himself, and he got really, really close to the sun. And what is the result here? His wings, his waxing wings, they melted, and he dropped dead in the sea. So he betrayed himself by flying too close next to the sun. So what is the lesson we learned from this Greek myth of Icarus? Over-ambition would be the doom, or would be the overthrow of the person. And here we understand from the beginning that Faustus does not respect his boundaries. He flies too close next to the sun, and because he is too proud of himself, because he wanted to learn way more than he could learn, or he wanted to again trespass, or he wanted to go beyond his boundaries, he leads himself to his own catastrophe, just like Icarus. What happened to Faustus for falling to a devilish exercise, and glutted more with learning golden gifts, he surfeits upon cursed necromancy. So this is a very key word, necromancy, which is the black magic that is practiced by conjuring the devils. Nothing so sweet as magic is to him, which he prefers before his chiefest bliss, and this is the man that in his study sits. So the chorus provided us with very good background information about Faustus. We understand that his tragic flow is pride and over-ambition. طيب, we have to start with scene 1 now. We have Faustus in his study, in his office, and he's on his own. Settle thy studies, Faustus, and begin. He's speaking to himself. And this is really important, ladies. He always speaks to himself or addresses himself in third person. And we will have time to discuss why. But one reason is to kind of deliver to the audience some sense of impartiality, that he is objective. Again, he is a scholar, he knows himself to be a very, very well-educated person, a very intellectual person. So he regards himself in a very high place, or he regards himself as a very, very important person. So he addresses himself in the third person. Settle thy studies and begin to sound the depth of that thou wilt profess. So what does he want? He wants to study something new now. And as we have figured already, he has studied everything. He kind of like ختم العلم, right? Having commenced, be a divine in show, yet level at the end of every art, and live and die in Aristotle's works. So he starts with Aristotle's works, and you know Aristotle? He studied philosophy, or he is a philosopher, and Aristotle is known for the study of logic. Now, of course, we have a lot of intertextuality. What do I mean by intertextuality? Using Aristotle's words. And again, that is to show the audience that he knows a lot. Like, for example, if I read it, I wouldn't understand. Bendeserere es fine, whatever. This is Latin, and Latin, of course, was the language of science. So even if you don't understand as an audience, you understand that he is a real scientist. He's not just a good scientist or someone who studies something. No, he's a scholar. He's a doctor. Now, this is his journey of undermining or underestimating the importance of all the sciences, of all the disciplines that he had studied. The first of which is, of course, logic. Is to dispute well logic's chiefest end? Affords this art no greater miracle? Is that all? So he's making, or he's kind of saying that what Aristotle gave us, what Aristotle actually built of knowledge, is nothing to celebrate, is nothing to appreciate. Is that all? That's everything we need to learn, that we need to understand logic so we would argue well. And by the way, we can talk about this later, but Aristotle's rhetoric is really famous when we're talking about, I don't know if some of you know the concept of pathos, logos, and ethos. So Aristotle actually said that if you want to convince someone of anything, you have to use logic, the logical order of things. You also need to use the pathos, of course, refers to the emotions. You have to address the person's emotions. And ethos, of course, you have to use your sense of credibility, or you have to use your status in the society to convince others of the truth of your argument. Anyway, he is now under estimating the importance of Aristotle. And what does he say? Then read no more, thou hast attained the end. I have attained the end of this science. Khalas, I'm done. I have studied every single thing, and I wouldn't read more. I have completed studying that science. I want something that would fit my mind, would fit the depth of my wit. So what does he say? A greater subject fits Faustus' wit. Again, he uses Faustus, or he addresses himself in third person. He goes on with the Latin, and now he goes on to the second discipline, which is medicine. Be a physician, Faustus, heap up gold, and be eternized for some wondrous cure. So, okay, I'm not studying logic, let me move on to medicine. To be a physician, I would make a lot of money, and I would be eternized for some wondrous cure. My name would be eternal for finding cure for a chronic disease like cancer, for example, nowadays. So we understand from the beginning what is his concern. He wants to be eternized. He wants to live forever. This is one of his concerns. And it's like the concept of eternity, ladies, or the theme of eternity was really, really new to the Renaissance plays. People start, and again in poetry as well. I think maybe you have studied this in your poetry course. Shakespeare talked about being eternal, about eternalizing the name of his lover. I don't know if you studied Ozymandias, yes or no, not yet. So eternity is a main concern, and he says, but at the end of physics is our body's health. Why, Faustus, hast thou not attained that end? Is not thy common talk found aphorisms? Are not thy bells hung up as monuments? So the end is just the human body, and the human body is not enough for me, for my knowledge, for my thirst for knowledge. He goes on with like his attempt to undermine or degrade the concepts of medicine. Again, he's not saying that medicine is not good, but it's not good enough for him. Tamam? So he says, whereby whole cities have escaped the plague, and thousand desperate maladies been eased. Maladies, of course, I mean diseases. Yet art thou still but Faustus in a man? Couldst thou make men to live eternally? Again, the concept or the idea or the motif of eternity is very prominent here. It's a very dominant concern here. He says, like, even if I help entire cities to escape the plague, even if I cure men, at the end of the day, can I make a man live forever? I can't. So, from the beginning, we see that he's tiptoeing around what? Around what God only can control. Okay? So he wants to eternalize people. He wants to be able to make men live forever. It's not enough for him to save people's lives. No, he wants to control people's lives. So we understand from the beginning, from the very beginning, that Faustus wants to compete with God. Faustus wants to play by the same rules God does. Or let's not say play by the same rules. He wants to have the same power or the same authority God has over humanity. Or being dead, raise them to life again. Can I make them back? Can I get back? Can I get them back to life? No. Then this profession were to be esteemed physic. Farewell. خلاص, farewell. I don't want to study medicine. I don't want to study physics. I don't want to study the human body. It's not good enough for me. So he dismisses physics now and he moves on to another discipline, another kind of science, branch of science, we have now law. And again, we have a pattern now. Does that remind you of anything? It reminds us when Portia kind of kept making fun of all these suitors. But here we have Faustus. Again, this is a tragic comedy here. Faustus is actually making fun or undermining the importance of very, very important disciplines. He moves on to the law. Again, such as the subject of the institute, an universal body of the law. This study fits a mercenary judge. What does a mercenary mean, guys? Mercenaries are the soldiers that are paid to fight for a certain army. So in Arabic we call them murtazaqa. So he is associating law um, he's associating law to enslaved people or people who work for money. And we have this stereotypical image about lawyers. Lawyers do not believe in justice as much as they believe in the concept or in the concept of earning money. Who aims at nothing but external trash. Trash, by the way, meant money in the Elizabethan era. Too servile and illiberal for me. This is this is not for me. This to have or to study the law of earth, to study the rules by which you control people. This is too illiberal. This is against my freedom. This is not for me. So he was really, really harsh on studying law. So he moves on. Again, nothing pleases him, sorry, and he says, when all is done, divinity is best. خلاص, I'm done with all. Maybe divinity would suit me. Jeremy's Bible, Faustus view it well, and he reads from the Bible, the word of sin is death. That's hard. And we have here some sort of foreshadowing for the sins he would commit and the tragic death that he would have to experience. So he's questioning the Bible, actually. He says that's hard. He's saying that the Bible is not as merciful as it's publicized, or it's not as merciful as people say it is. Here's the problem. The Bible says that if we sin, then we deserve death. Now he is arguing with the Bible. This is a very important part, or this is a very important segment that will help us support our argument that Marlowe is a Renaissance playwright. He is saying if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and there is no truth in us. We all sin. Humans sin. Why then be like we must sin and so consequently die? We must die and over an everlasting death. What doctrine call you this? That again we have the translation here. What will be shall be. Divinity, divinity adio. So he's saying that the Bible is merciless. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because we're all sinners. Then we all should die. And he is reading just fragmented parts of the Bible. He does not want to understand the Bible as well as he should. So he says goodbye, adieu to divinity, and he dismisses divinity. He's not studying divinity. So he dismissed logic, law, divinity, physics. He said that nothing would fit his mind, and he moves on to a very, very important discipline, which is necromancy. What is the necromancy, ladies? This is a very key word here. It is the study of, or it is black magic. It's conjuring the souls, the dead, to help him do extraordinary, superhuman acts. So what does he say? What does he say? These metaphysics of magicians and necromantic books are heavenly. And here we have some sort of this is an oxymoron, or it's quite ironic here, um, because what is necromancy? Necromancy is black magic, and black magic depends on what? It depends on conjuring, on calling Satans, on calling the devil, and on conjuring dead souls. And what does he say? These books are heavenly. Heavenly means, it means that they associate with God, with heaven, with a higher place. So we understand from the very beginning that Faustus is delusional. He is delusional. What he thinks is actually, or what he believes is actually the opposite of reality. And he looks at necromancy books and he says lines, circles, schemes, letters, and characters. These are those that Faustus most desires. And now he starts praising, he starts celebrating this black art. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of, again, here we understand what he really desires, of power, of honor, of omnipotence. What does omnipotence mean? It's, of course, God is the only omnipotent, is the only one of omnipotent nature. God is the Almighty with absolute power. So he says power is promised to the studious artisan. So if I study necromancy, I should grant myself absolute power. And ladies, with absolute power, what comes with absolute power? Comes absolute corruption. All things that move between the quiet poles shall be at my command. Now, this is really, really important. What follows is really important in terms of how the audience, or what actually appeals to the Elizabethan audience. Again, this was like the beginning of colonialism, tamam? And colonialism means like Europeans go outside this continent of Europe and they start to find or explore other continents, and the audience, or the common people, they hear about these adventures of the white people who go to India, who go to who go to Africa, who go to East Asia, to the Middle East, and so on. And they are fascinated, they are intrigued by all these adventures, by all these new lives. So Faustus is again reflecting these desires, the desires of the common people. What does he say? All things that move between the quiet poles shall be at my command. Emperors and kings are but obeyed in their several provinces, nor can they raise the wind or rend the clouds, but his dominion that exceeds in his, and this stretcheth as far as doth the mind of man. So he says, I'm not going to be as powerful as a king or an emperor. No, I'll be more powerful, because these kings and emperors can only control their countries, but I'll be able to control the wind. I'll be able to control the clouds. A sound magician, a very important line, is a mighty god. Here, Faustus, try thy brains to gain a deity. So he wants to be a god. He wants to be as powerful, as omnipotent as a god, and this is his tragic flow. Hubris is his tragic flow, and this is Faustus. He calls his attendant, or his student and servant, Wagner. Wagner. It's not pronounced as Wagner, it's Wagner. German pronunciation is Wagner. And Wagner enters and he says, Wagner, commend me to my dearest friends, the German Valdez and Cornelius. And in the real story of Dr. Faustus, the German Dr. Faustus, these are real scholars. Request them earnestly to visit me. Their conference will be a greater help to me than all my labors plod I near so fast. So he is determined. He is not showing any hesitation. He wants to be, or he wants to practice necromancy. he wants to be a mighty God. Morality play. At the end of the day, it's a morality play. Yes, we said that Marlowe actually challenges some of the conventions of this morality play, and we will discuss this later. But one of the important aspects of a morality play is to have certain characters appear and speak and have their roles. And the first two characters here we have the good angel and the evil angel. Of course, we also have the seven deadly sins. We have also scenes of hell and Satan and so on. So we have the good angel and the evil angel. And what is the purpose of having the good angel and the evil angel? Because, ladies, this is all happening in his mind. Whether we're talking about the good angel or the evil angel, it's inside Faustus' mind. So what is the purpose of having good angel, evil angel in the play? It is to externalize the internal conflict. So the internal conflict that Faustus is struggling with is now externalized. It is outside. It is shown. It is displayed to the audience. So we understand, as long as there is a good angel and, of course, an evil angel, we understand that Faustus is not 100% lost, or like he didn't lose his entire self, or he didn't actually give up his entire self to the devils, not just yet. So we have good angel and evil angel. The good angel says, "O Faustus, lay that damned book aside, that cursed book aside, and gaze not on it, lest it tempt thy soul, and heap God's heavy wrath upon thy head. Remember God's anger. Remember God's anger and bring it back to your head. Read the scriptures. Read the Bible." So the good angel is actually using this logic, using the logic that God will be angry with you. The evil angel says, "Go forward, Faustus, in that famous art, wherein all nature's treasury is contained. Be thou on earth as Jove is in the sky, Lord and commander of these elements." Now we see here that the good angel is not as strong, or the argument of the good angel is not as strong as the argument of the evil angel. So we understand here that the evil angel has a stronger argument, and Faustus is, of course, going with him. This reveals his inner intentions and what he wants to use necromancy for, what he wants this black magic for. And we see his thoughts, we see how he is obsessed with material things, with earthly desires. So what does he say? "How am I glutted with conceit of this? Shall I make spirits fetch me what I please? I'll make these spirits, when I practice necromancy, I'll make these spirits bring me whatever I wish. Resolve me of all ambiguities, perform what desperate enterprise I will." So, what is the first thing that he wants? I'll have them fly to India for gold, ransack the ocean for orient pearl. Again, as I told you, this is the era of colonialism. This is the era when the world is seen by the Europeans, and whatever is outside Europe is seen as a magical place, as a place of exploration and adventure. And again we have some sort of romanticizing of what is not Europe. Whatever is outside Europe, is outside Europe is actually heaven, or a place a place of treasures and gold and so on. "And search all the corners of the new-found world." See, new-found world. He's a white man at the end of the way. At the end of the day, this is the end of the day for me, so maybe that's why I can mispronounce things. Anyway, the new-found world. It's not like saying it's the new world. It's the new-found world, as if the world outside Europe did not exist before the Europeans found it. For pleasant fruits and princely delicates, I'll have them read me strange philosophy and tell the secrets of all foreign kings. So first he started with very, very materialistic desires. He wanted to eat princely delights. He wanted to try fruits from the east. He wanted to get gold and pearls from the ocean. And then he goes on with um, his desire of knowledge. Again, he's thirsty for knowledge. He wants to learn or to read about strange philosophy and the secrets of foreign kings. And what is the purpose? Why does he want to know the secrets of foreign kings? Of course, once you know the secrets of a foreign king, you can control his country. I'll have them wall Germany with brass. Now he goes on, and we understand that he's a nationalist here. He wants to protect his country and make swift Rhine circle fair Wittenberg. What is Swift Rhine? It is a river, and this river is really far away from Wittenberg. Wittenberg is his city or his town. So what does he want? He wants to use this magic to help his country, to protect his country from the enemies. This is one. Two, he wants the river to circle Wittenberg because again, water is really important for the town, and his or the residents of the town won't have to travel very, very long distances to get water. So here we have kind of like a selfless desire. And here, ladies, the audience might start to sympathize with him. The audience might start to feel for him and feel that he's a good person. He's going to use this black magic to help his people. I'll have them, and he completes with that. I'll have them fill the public schools with silk. Public schools are full of poor students, but he wants to give them silk. Wherewith the students shall bravely clad, they will dress in silk. Levy soldiers with the coin they bring, and chase the Prince of Parma from our land. So the Prince of Parma, again, Germany at that time was at war with Italy and Spain, and again, who also in the Elizabethan era was at war with Spain. Queen Elizabeth herself. So basically, the audience are now fascinated by Faustus. They love him. They hate the Prince of Parma, and they think that yes, whatever he desires is just. Whatever he desires is actually good for the people, for his people. So the audience now admire Faustus. Undrained sole king of all our provinces, yeah, stranger engines for the burnt of war than was the fiery keel on Antwerp's bridge. Again, he goes on with all these desires to protect his country, and to give the soldiers and the students what they deserve. Come, German Valdez and Cornelius, and make me blessed with your sage conference. He cannot wait to meet these two scholars to teach him about necromancy, so he would practice it right away. And Cornelius, they come, and he kind of repeats what he had on his own when he was degrading the importance of all sciences. Um, So he says, Valdes, sweet Valdes and Cornelius, know that your words have won me at the last. You have finally convinced me. So we understand here that Valdes and Cornelius, they have been trying to convince him to try necromancy. So they are bad people. They are the bad people. And we understand that we have some sort of an external impact or an external influence on him to practice magic and concealed art. Yet, not your words only, but mine own fantasy that will receive no object for my head, but ruminates on necromantic skill. So he says, it's not just you, it's not just your words that convinced me. I also have thought about it, and I'm now convinced. So he's not blaming them, and at the end of the play, we can only blame Faustus. He is an individual who is responsible for his own actions. And again, he repeats what he disliked about other sciences. Philosophy is odious and obscure. Law and physics are for petty wits, for the stupid, for those who are not smart enough. Divinity is the basest of the three. Divinity is the lowest of the three. So we understand his stance here. He is against religion. He is against faith. It is magic that has ravished me, and gentle friends aid me in this attempt, and I that have with concise syllogisms gravelled the pastors of the German Church and made the flowering pride of Wittenberg swarm to my problems as the infernal spirits. Oh, sweet Moses, when he came to hell. So he is now well aware that he is going to fight the church, or he is going to challenge the church by practicing necromancy. He would go against the road of God if he wanted to practice necromancy. Says Faustus, these books, thy wit and our experience, shall make all nations to canonize us. So we have the books, we have your smartness, and we have our experience. All of this shall canonize us. They will remember us forever. As Indian Moors obey their Spanish lords, so shall the spirits of every element. So he brings a very, very it's not a racist reference, but this is a hint of colonialism, the beginning of colonialism, because the Spanish people colonized India and enslaved the Indian people. So he says that these spirits that we will conjure shall obey us as the Indian Moors obey their Spanish lords. They will be always serviceable to us three. Like lions shall they guard us when we please, like Almain rutters with their horsemen's staves, or Lapland giants trotting by our side, again sometimes like women, or unwedded maids, shadowing more beauty in their airy brows than in the white breasts of the Queen of Love. From Venice shall they drag huge argosies, and from America the golden fleece, that yearly stuffs old Philip's treasury, if learned Faustus will be resolute. So what is Valdez here promising Faustus? He's promising him strength, he is promising him money, he is promising him the beauty of women. These spirits can bring him whatever he wants. And Faustus says, Valdez, as resolute as I am in this, as thou to live, therefore object it not. I am resolute, I will do it, I'm determined, I want to practice necromancy, I want to conjure the spirits, I want the spirits to help me get whatever I want. Cornelius starts to convince him, or kind of promise him with more earthly desires, and Faustus says, and Cornelius says at the end, then tell me, Faustus, what shall we three want? If we get anything we want from earth, we will not need anything else. And Faustus says, we will need nothing, Cornelius. Oh, this cheers my soul. He still has a soul. And this is really important. He says, oh, this cheers my soul. Because later in the play, he sells his soul. He sells his soul to the devil. For now, he still wants, or he still owns his soul, and his soul is cheered by the idea of being able to control the world, to have all his desires fulfilled. And we understand that Faustus wants complete freedom, just like Icarus, just like the story of Icarus with the waxen wings. But this freedom would lead him to imprisonment. Come, show me some demonstrations magical, that I may conjure in some lusty grove, and have these joys in full possession. So they want to go to a solitary grove, an empty place, again a deserted place, because this is the only place where they can conjure the souls. And again, the setting here is, or the place is really, really grim and horrible, and foreshadows everything, or all the horrible, let's say, events that will follow. Um, they promise him that he will be perfecter than them. They will teach him how to use the books. And Faustus says, "Come and dine with me, and after meat, we'll canvass every quiddity thereof. And then he will sleep, and after that, he will practice necromancy." That would be the end. 2 starts with two scholars from Faustus University. So we know that Faustus is missed at the university. That means that he has been losing himself to studying necromancy. He has been dedicating a lot of his time and effort to study the details of necromancy. He is committed to practice this black magic. And the first scholar says, I wonder what's become of Faustus, that was wont to make our schools ring with sic bravo. Again, this is a Latin word which means that he has proved something. That shall we know, for see, here comes his boy. Who is his boy? Wagner. Now, this is a comic kind of, it's not exactly funny or hilarious, but this is what we call a comic relief. And again, this is a tragedy. We understand that a tragedy is full of tragic events. We don't have anything to laugh at, but we have some scenes that are called the comic relief. What is the purpose of the comic relief? The comic relief, it's used across the Elizabethan drama. You will see it in Shakespeare's plays or Shakespeare's tragedies, and of course here in Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. The purpose of the comic relief is, from its name, to relieve the tension of the play. Again, we're talking about very, very grave events. We're talking about someone who is seeking to conjure, to call the devil. So to relieve the tension. Also, they kind of show us, or they foreshadow some of the events of the play. And also, they introduce us to characters that are not exactly tragic characters, but characters that relate to the tragedy, or to the events, or to the tragic events of the play. Here in this case, we have Wagner, his student and servant. Now, what is the purpose of this scene? We understand that Wagner is completely genius. He is a genius, and if this helps us understand anything, it is that if this is the student, if this is the servant, if this is the attendant, how genius would the master be? So the master is more, or way more genius than the student. So the scholar says, "How now, Sarah, where is thy master?" And Wagner says, "God in heaven knows." So he starts playing on words. "Why does not thou know?" "Yes, I know, but that follows not." So Wagner says, did I say that I don't know? I just said that God knows. How does that actually contradict my original, or my initial reaction? "Go to Sarah, leave your jesting, and tell us where he is." So Wagner here starts again, we understand that he is really competent in philosophy and logic, and he says, that follows not necessarily by force of argument that you, being licentiates or again educated people, should stand upon it, therefore acknowledge your error and be attentive. So he's teaching them that they have to be more attentive, and he's making fun of them, that they didn't understand his logic. Again, can you please tell us where Faustus is? And he starts to flex his muscles. He wants to show off how smart he is. And he says, okay, your question would have been logical if you didn't understand, if you didn't know that he was a human being. He is a corpus natural, and that means that he is mobile. That means he moves. He doesn't stay where he is. So how would you expect me to tell you where he is if he is a human body who moves? So he uses this logic to kind of tell them that they're stupid and that they do not account for a lot of possibilities, for a lot of infinite possibilities. And then at the end he says, I am victorious. I triumphed over you. I'm smarter than you. So I will tell you where he is. I'll pretend to be a priest, and I will speak like priests. And he says, truly, my dear brethren, my master is within at dinner with Valdes and Cornelius. As this wine, if it could speak, it would inform you, your worships. So we understand that Cornelius and Valdes and Faustus are having dinner and enjoying themselves, and we understand also that Wagner is drunk. That's why he's really giving the two scholars a hard time. And then he exits. The first scholar understands that Faustus has fallen um, to the world of necromancy, of black magic. Nay, then I fear he is fallen into that damned art, the cursed art, for which they two are infamous through the world. Valdes and Cornelius are known for this infamous art. They're notorious for this black magic. And the second scholar says, were he a stranger and not allied to me, yet should I grieve for him. Although he is a stranger, although I do not actually belong to him, he does not belong to me, I still feel sorry for him. Let us go and inform the rector and see if he by his grave counsel can reclaim him. And the first scholar says, I fear nothing can reclaim him. As I told you, the purpose of the comic relief is to foreshadow some of the events of the play. And in the beginning, and here we have, nothing can reclaim him. He had fallen, once he had fallen into necromancy, nothing can bring him